I said, no,
Yes.
no.
Welcome, welcome, everybody. Aquí vamos. Woo, we got a full house today. Welcome, everybody, to La Mesa. We're getting started. Just giving you a few more minutes, all right? If you're in the chat, go ahead and put us a little message. Let us know where you're coming from. All right. What do we have here? Thank you. Thank you, Charles Evans. Yes, I ran away. One of the best from Flock of Seagulls, and he's still performing. You couldn't get away. You had to stay for this training because we got Cynthia Vasquez about to come on, okay? Give it another minute and we're going to get started. All right, we got Florida, El Paso, Texas, UK in the house. Hello, UK. Miami in the house, 305, everybody.
So awesome to see so many of you. Thank you for joining us. Monica, thank you. Chuck, thank you, thank you, thank you. Dr. Denola, Carla, so awesome. Thank you for making it out. I know you're all really busy. Appreciate your continued support and making time to join us.
All right, folks, let's get started. I just got about 2, 3. Oh my gosh, this thing gets bigger. This is just growing. This is a lot of people today in this call.
Connor, I can't believe you're joining. Awesome.
Connor, welcome.
So Connor's a friend from the UK. We met in a hackathon, and he's just an amazing, talented individual that keeps me on my toes on everything AI. I'm constantly learning, and we're always sharing and bouncing ideas off each other. But Connor, I just can't keep up with him. He's like crazy building stuff, too many things.
Folks, we're getting started today on this episode of La Mesa IA. We are going to go kind of deep with Claude, which is an amazing tool. I've been using it a little bit myself for the past couple of months, and I've got a lot to learn. So I am here as a learner today, and I'm going to hand it over to Cynthia Vasquez. She is an AI implementation strategist over there on the West Coast. Callie in the house. Cynthia, take it away. Thank you.
Again, thank you everyone for making it out and taking time out of your busy day to join us. I like to run my sessions to be the meeting after the meeting because that's where the magic happens, right? I want you to feel safe. All questions are welcomed. The one thing I caution against is we have a lot of content to go over because Claude is a very robust ecosystem. So we'll have a lot of different components. I plan on covering 8 different things: the chat, the projects within the regular Claude LLM, then the dispatch feature, Cowork, skills within Cowork, and then Claude Code. So because of that, and we also want to ensure we have time for questions after, just be mindful of that as we engage. But all questions are welcome. Again, this is a safe space and we're learning and growing together. For those of you unfamiliar with Claude, Claude is a LLM. Maybe you've seen a lot of it in the press, and it's been in the press a lot recently for a number of reasons. But before I kick that off, I just wanted to take a moment and ask you that you see all these people joining us from all over the, I would say, country or nation, but no, it's international. I mean, this says a lot about you and how AI is reshaping everything that we do. And there's so much interest in learning it, right? And I want to commend you all for being intentional about pursuing that and being intentional about your upskilling, which is going to be critical as we continue to go deeper into this new AI era. So again, this is meant to be not a webinar, not a class. You will not be an expert. No one is an expert. If somebody claims they're an expert, they're lying, because guess what? The tools keep changing like by the hour. I left it one way last night, and this morning it looks different. So we're all in this together, and that's something that we're going to have to build and get better at. Iterating as we go, having a growth mindset, and being flexible. And with that, I want to highlight something that is critical. While I love Claude, have loved Claude since pretty much it launched. It is important that you think that even though Claude is so amazing and it has all these functions, the one thing I want to stress is that there is not one AI tool or LLM that is the ends to all needs. In this new environment, it is critical that you have a tech stack that works for you, for what you're building, what you're working on. And why I say that is because a lot of us are feeling very overwhelmed and having a difficulty catching up or, trying to learn the newest and greatest. You don't have to. Take it a step at a time, give yourself grace, and only learn that which you need for where you're at. For example, right? There's a lot of different video generation tools. There's like Notion, Slack, all these crazy things. If you don't need it, don't worry about it. And when you need it, you can learn it. So give yourself that grace and that flexibility. And anyhow, joining me today, I forgot to do that part, is Mike Pina, who did our wonderful introduction. We also have Javi Irizarry and Olga Justino. I will turn it over for them so they can do a little brief intro.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us on La Mesa IA today. We have a packed house. And to answer your question, Cynthia, we have people actually from all over the world on this call right now. I'm looking at the messages coming in. So we are going to save the last 10 to 15 minutes for questions, give her time to recover because it's a lot of info we're going to cover. My name is Mike Pina. I am an AI educator and AI content creator for brands based here in South Florida. My business is AI Rocket Ship, and we do branding and teach AI. We also have Javier. Go ahead and take over. Javier, are you there? In a moment, should be connecting. Javi Rizari, I think he's still connecting. He is an AI educator in New York, teaching currently out of CUNY. We also have Olga Justiniano. She deals with AI, neuroscience. You need to tune into what she's putting out there because it is like mind-blowing. And when you put all these focuses together, we get a holistic presentation that we give on what is AI, what it's doing, what you can and should be doing with it. Because as you can tell, 2026 is moving incredibly fast. All right. So Cynthia, we're going to go ahead and hand it back. And just a reminder, if you have questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. We'll get to it shortly. All right.
Yes, and I do see one by Eric. A great question, Eric. You don't need it. You could do a lot of the features are available even if you don't have a plan. However, some of the functions are only available to those that do have a plan, such as Claude Cowork. And I'll be demoing that, but it'd be ideal if you could follow along, but I will be sharing my screen so you'll be able to see what that looks like if you do decide to end up getting a paid subscription. And for everyone's awareness, I have the $20 one and I've been able to keep that. I'm just very mindful of it and leave my Claude usage for very strategic, deep thinking. We do have someone that commented about Opus, Sonnet. So there are different, and I'll show you in a second. You can choose different LLMs within Claude, and they offer different things. But they all, the deepest think one is Opus, but it is very, because it's deeper thinking, it'll use most of your tokens. You'll go through them quicker. So I rarely use Opus and will only use it when it's a very critical build, when I'm building an app or something like that, or very deep thinking strategic work. Otherwise, I will not use it because you can go through credits very fast that way. And I'll show you. So again, as Mike mentioned, Mike, Javi, and Olga will be monitoring the chat. They'll ensure to keep the energy going. And with that, I'll go ahead and start sharing. Before I do, I just wanted to mention that Claude is different. It's separate from OpenAI. And how all these tools got started, they all did an internet scrape to build their language learning models. Why Claude differs significantly is because in addition to that stack, they had a lot of people in leading universities be the first users. And their structure is different. They're built around safety and judgment, not just speed. which is why Claude tends to hallucinate very rarely. Part of that is how hallucinations work is due to context. Claude has a more robust context memory within the chats. So therefore, and it every night it does like a data sweep of what you did and builds kind of like your own memory file. So because of that, it's better at picking up where you left off. So I'll stop there and now I'll go ahead and share my screen. Again, for all of you guys following, I'm going to do just a basic, the Claude AI app. And give me 1 second. I will start sharing. I'll go off video so that to preserve bandwidth while I share my screen. So there's 3 different ways to access Claude. On the desktop, which is what what you're seeing now. This is my desktop version.
It's still connecting, by the way, Cynthia. Just giving it another moment.
Okay.
Good to go.
Yeah. So you can see here, this is just Claude AI on the web, not the desktop version. I always have all 3 open. I have it open on my web browser, on my desktop app, and on my phone. Why I do this is on purpose, and I'll get back to that in the interest of time. So basically, when you open up Claude, this is what it'll look like. And here are all the functions. You can click this to see the sidebar. And here are all the different things I've worked on. If you want to chat normally like any other LLM, such as ChatGPT, you just click a new chat and you tell it, right? And you start working from it. As you see from here, it has all these different functions. These are all things you can integrate. So it can extract, it can build. So for example, I have mine connected to my calendars and to several of my email addresses. And so let's say someone DMs me and wants to schedule time. I'll do a screenshot and tell it, help me find time on my calendar. Or if I set something up, like a doctor's appointment, I'll do a screenshot, feed it here or through my phone and tell it, add it to my calendar. Make sure I get a reminder an hour before, whatever it is. That is why Claude is so powerful. I'll pause there, see if anybody has any questions. Again, this is just the basic LLM usage. And here down here are different things you can plug into to be able to do more things. Unfortunately, because I'm screen sharing, I can't see the chat. So are there any questions that we need to get to before I move on to the next section? Okay, seems like nothing. I'll move on.
No
So
questions.
you have all these different things. New chat, how to search, which I love, right? Let's say I was I'm trying to think of something that
Hey,
I won't
Cynthia,
compromise any info.
sorry to
Oh, go
chime
ahead.
in. We have a question from Sonia. How do you connect your Gmail or calendar?
Okay, we'll get into that if we have time, but that is kind of a little tricky. So you basically go to customize and you can connect here. You see here? And it's very easy to do. And guess what? With Cowork, it almost does the whole setup for you because or Cloud Code, because it accesses your computer and can do things on your behalf. So it's really powerful. And it's really easy because some of these you just connect here. Like I have my Canva connected. I have, like I said, my calendars. I have a ton of stuff that I don't even know what it is. So here you go and you can search for all these things. Like PayPal is even on there. And they keep adding more and more, which goes back to what I said earlier, right? That nobody can be an expert because it keeps changing. I mean, seriously, this list keeps growing almost literally by the day. See, Gamma's on here, and you may Netify, AWS. I mean, there's so many things. So depending, and again, there's not a one size fits all approach. That's why I recommend that you go to the pace that serves you and what you're looking to build. I don't have a lot of these connected because guess what? I'm only doing what I need for now. And as I need more, I'm adding more little by little. And it's giving me time to really understand how it's working.
So Cynthia, these are add-ons, kind of like what some of the other language models use. I know Gmail has it. My Chat GPT subscription has it as well, and it seems like a lot of these language models almost are kind of like copying each other to offer more ways for you to interconnect with the different platforms. But Claude is different. That's what I have understood. Unlike some of the other language models, you can do more. There are also some ethical highlights. I'm sure people are wondering that with all the news lately. Do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, so what, and I'm glad you brought that up because I alluded to this and I meant to circle back and I didn't. So Claude has been in the news a lot. And it started in December timeframe because they launched Claude Code. And although it had been around, it wasn't as robust. And they kept building it. And why Claude Code is significant? Because it's critical for vibe coding. And it became and continues to be one of the best platforms if you want to vibe code. For those unfamiliar with the terms, if you want to build an app, you can build it just by prompting it or texting it, right? I could say, and I'll give you an example. And this is just the Claude chat. Sorry, I'm telling it, I want to build an app that is a daily journal. Help me think through it. So normally I don't type a lot. I use my the dictation, which I love, and normally that's available on my phone, or I have Whisper Flow because I use it so much. I already maxed it out, so I'm out of tokens. But normally I'd be speaking to it, and it's a lot faster, right? And I could tell it, create the code to dump it to Claude Code.
So for like maybe vibe coding, this could be a great assistant as well. So
Yeah,
I
and
do
why
that.
that's how that and why I'm sharing that is because that's why it got a lot of traction because they refined it a lot. It got better in December. Then in January, or actually the last week of December, there was a new app, I guess, or a new system called Open Claude. There's been a lot of that in the news, and basically it Claude Code is very powerful because it can take control over your computer. Let's say I wanted to organize my files, organize my pictures. It can do that for me. At the same time, I can have it run things for me. And that is why it is just a game changer because it can do things. It's truly agentic, truly automated without you being involved. And that is why Claude has taken off. And so that was in January. It got more traction because the Department of Defense wanted to use Claude AI for unmanned weapon systems. They did not agree. Anthropic, who is the owning company of Claude, they did not agree because they really are, again, really into governance and the human in the loop. They see it as a critical component. So because Anthropic pushed back on DoD's usage, it became a lawsuit, and they're currently still in litigation because they were deemed as, oh, and I just forgot the word. They were deemed as a supply chain risk, which is crazy because it's very hard to prove one, and two, had never happened to a US company. Usually that kind of charge, for lack of better words, is reserved for international entities within the supply chain. And so that happened. DoD issued an order to stop and desist use of AI of Claude systems within the Department of War environment, and that led to then OpenAI saying, "We'll do it. We will authorize our AI use for unmanned weapon system." So a lot of people left ChatGPT in protest because that is concerning and troubling for a number of reasons. Questions, thoughts on that?
We do have a
Rick, I see your
question.
hand.
It's not
Yeah.
connected to that. Oh, go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, Claude's Anthropic not only was about autonomous weapons use, which they said was a red line, but also spying on U.S. citizens, which both things have been done. And Claude is the
Yeah.
only trusted one in the War Department. So it's a really existential problem. And that's why everybody jumped off of ChatGPT and working with Claude, whose owner, Dario Amodei, and his sister wrote the paper. You should read it. Machines of Loving Grace, which imagines a much more beautiful human aligned centric thing. They've been the leader in testing and ethics and everything else. So they got my vote for leader of the world if they ever get there. Thanks.
Same here. I'm a fan all the way, and I'm glad I started it when it barely launched and continue to be a fan. And that's why these conversations are so important, right? For all those things mentioned, but also because it just is, in my opinion, a more robust LLM, and more than an LLM, it's an ecosystem with a lot of features that we should be really leveraging as well as in our private lives and in our professional lives, because I think it really has a lot of potential to position us for whatever's to come within our respective career fields, right? Especially as more AI continues to be implemented. So I appreciate the polls. Great seeing the numbers. So again, just to reiterate, Claude Code, it's great because you have the opportunity to actually have autonomous agents running in your system. Just earlier today, I can't remember if it was Monday or Tuesday, now they have a function where you can have multi-agents running. What means is multiple functions running and doing things, which is kind of why, like I mentioned earlier, I have it running on my desktop, on the browser, and on my phone. Because while one does something, I'm working on the other and working on the other. And that is why I'm able to be more efficient and just faster. While one of them is thinking or creating a slide deck, I'm on the other one telling it, help me with this, right? And with the other one, run my daily calendar, do this research, whatever. So it's really a cool thing. So you see what it gave me just on this, right? It helps me refine what kind of journaling do you want to support. I could refine it. At the end, when I'm done with this, it would create a document that I could just dump into Claude Code. And why I say dump is because I could have my Claude Code desktop. I could just drag the file over and it would start building the app for me agentically with minimal interaction. The interaction usually just looks like a permission. It says, do I have your permission to access this? Do I have your permission to do this? And I always hit, usually I'm like, yes, yes, yes. It depends on what it is. Sometimes I'm like, wait a minute, explain this further, right? And that's one of the biggest takeaways I want you to leave with. The trust factor, I get it. It's a concern. Be careful what you put in. Don't put in any names, social security numbers. If you're dealing with something sensitive, use a hypothetical. And at the same time, the more you trust it, the better results it'll give you, right? I had always dreamed of being a keynote speaker. And when in my early use, I would tell it, help me plan my next 3 months, right? I would tell it all these crazy things about business, about what I wanted to do at my current job, blah, blah, blah. But I was holding back. And it didn't give me the real stuff till I told it the truth, right? Here's what I really want to do. Then it became a better thought partner and strategist, and help me then really get to my goals faster, right? And that's one of my favorite uses, is using it to refine my thinking, find gaps in my thinking. And I say, I want to get to this goal in a month. Help me do it in 2 weeks. What do I need to do? What are the critical things I must focus on? All right. I use it a lot to just push me and push my thinking. So a lot there. I said, I'll show quickly the projects, and this is why I really love Claude, the projects. And this is how it differs from other LLMs. Other have similar things. Here's what they look like. What is cool is that they are self-contained environments. So for example, I could build one just for the, let's say, La Mesa branding kit or comms kit, right? I could add it. I could tell it what I'm looking to achieve. Sorry for all the typos.
And Cynthia, let me chime in.
Yeah.
People who are using ChatGPT, what you're doing now of creating a personal project, you described it as kind of like a closed ecosystem. Is that like the equivalent of a chat, a conversation, or is it something else completely with Claude?
I love that question. It's different in this. It's almost like a private ChatGPT. You know how people have their custom one, but I like this better because it's more fluid and it's not one ongoing conversation, right? Because
I'm thinking like a canvas maybe that you can come back to
yeah,
that
it's
painting and
almost
keep
like a
adding.
repository.
Got it.
Right. So look, for example, here, let's say I'm trying to establish it. I create it. So here's the memory. Here are the instructions. Here are the files. So let's say I have like, we have all the branding for La Mesa. I could dump it all in there and it already knows. So next time I can come in here, right? That former conversation is there and I can build on it. And that is critical for the hallucinations. Hallucinations happen because of context memory issues, right? Or you want to pick up where you left off, where with the GPTs is cool, but you don't have that ongoing thread. So some of mine, for example, I have a ton of different conversations, right? So like here are all my app builds, right? I have all that context. So let's say I want to pull up a build that I did a month ago. I could tell it, help me find and it'll pull it for me with a link. So it's almost like a self-contained environment, like a repository and dashboard. See, and it found it. And it's giving me all the links within my chat that I talked about it. Let me stop it because I don't want to use my tokens up. So it's really cool because all my projects are there and what I want to do with each may be different. Why this is critical is for myself is because I'm part of a lot of different organizations. So each of them has a different project and my voice, my goals are different and I don't want them bleeding into each other, which is what happens when you don't have projects. That's what I mentioned, self-contained, because everything is there in this, right? And what's cool is if I built something here and you know what, it kind of bleeds into, let's say, marketing or business branding, I could change it. See, I could go change project or remove from the project or delete, which is really powerful. You can always change the instructions, take the files, do all that kind of stuff. Very powerful tool. Questions? I see somebody have their hand. Javi?
Hey Cynthia, thank you so much for breaking this down. I'm learning Claude as I go because I've just started recently using it. Now I heard you mention that projects are sort of self-contained and this lead into each other, but do they still draw information from your personal info that you would put into your Claude account?
Sort of. And why I say sort of is because at the end of the day, Claude kind of does this is automatic. You can turn that off if you'd like to. But it kind of builds a context memory of what you discussed and keeps a running file on you. So it'll keep what it regards as the most critical elements of that exchange and goes on for the next day. The next day, at the end of the day, it'll do that. So basically, after each session, it kind of builds about me behind the scenes. And so it sometimes carries that, sometimes it not all of it will be there. I hope that answered the question.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
If I could ask a follow-up, just because I find it so interesting, and apologies for taking if anyone
No
wants to
worries.
go. What are any best practices for maintaining a project so that, it's more dynamic than static?
Javi, I'm glad you're not here because I would hug you almost inappropriately because that is such a critical point. And I think that's where a lot of people that are AI naysayers run into because it's not static. It's a like working fluid document, right? Like you have to continue to iterate and refine it because that's how we are. That's how we evolve as humans, right? So like, for example, the app build, when I started building, I wasn't taking into account other things that now as a more experienced builder are critical, right? So I can now remove the files. And that's what's cool about the projects, right? That it's not a one and done because what's on there. So let me show you, right? Let's say I had files in here. I could go in here and remove. You see how it connects to your GitHub? It connects to Google Drive. You could add stuff like that. And in some of them, I have a ton of files on there, like my branding, my voice, my color guide. I mean, all these kind of things, my LLC, my value proposition, all these different things. But that's going to change, right? Or or even a marketing strategy, marketing campaign is going to be different. So it allows for that. And you could just delete it and tell it, forget that old stuff. Now we're only focusing on that. Or guess what? You build a new project and you call it, let's say it's marketing, and your first one was marketing 1.0, then you're on to marketing 2.0 or marketing 2.5, and you continue to build on it, which is really, really cool because so I have one just for all my speaking engagements, right? And it's cool because as I have more, and sometimes I'm like, I remember I used a quote from that. I could tell it, help me find X and such. I remember using a ladder analogy. I could tell it, help me find it within all my scripts, and boom, it'll pull it up. So it's really powerful. Like I said, it helps you not only stay organized, focused, but it also is something you can leverage to be faster. And it's supposed to grow with you like anything we do. Think about it almost like a resume, right? You continue to refine as you go. I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, it did. Thank you so much, Cynthia.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
So now I'm going to stop the share so that I can go on to the desktop version. So that was the browser version. Now I'm going to show you what my browser version looks like. And why that is because I want to show you all what Cowork looks like.
So,
right.
Cynthia, is it safe to say that depending on the way that you're accessing Claude, you may get access to some features not available maybe on desktop version or even mobile?
Yes, great question, Mike. Yes, that's why it's important. And again, you don't need all three, right? You may be just good with the web browser version, but in order to leverage its agentic capabilities, which are game changers, I would recommend you at least get the $20 plan and download the desktop version, and you'll see why. It's really changed my life, gave me a lot of my time back, and has allowed me to stay focused on what matters, and which to me is showing up for my friends, my family, right? Because I'm taking it off. I'm focusing. It took away the admin burden, so I can get more time to show up authentically and how I'd like to show up for my friends and family. So
You're
let me
doing the screen
share.
share. It's coming up in a moment. And folks, I wanted to just mention also because as you know, actively, depending on where you are, whether you're in the UK, Brazil, Cali, or South Florida, like I am, when it comes to AI governance laws, there's a lot going on. And what works here, for example, in Florida, where there's one focus, may not be the same in United Kingdom, where there are different types of AI laws. But as a general rule, always be careful what you put in. Doesn't matter if it's OpenAI, Claude, Adobe. I work with many of those systems, and you always want to be aware of what data are you feeding, especially when it comes to personal data, mental health data. Your data is your currency. So I just throw that out there as a reminder, as with everything, just always play it safe. Go back to you, Cynthia.
Yeah, no, great reminder. Right. And if you're unsure, use a hypothetical. Don't use names. And all of these tools have a way to go incognito. And that's also another benefit of having a paid plan. When you have a paid plan, you could tell it to not train the learning language models on your data. So again, just to reiterate, no PII, which means personal identifiable information. No, I would caution against proprietary information, right? Protect your R&D, your IP. And that's where the hypotheticals come into play. No socials, no date of births. I would caution against full names, especially kids and ages, right? So use a hypothetical, right? So if I'm going to research something, let's say for my daughter, I'm not going to put her name. I'm not going to put her age. I'm going to say, I'm coaching a family who has a kid that is approx this age. Give me what I should focus on, right? So that way it doesn't know. And I would probably use incognito for that because I don't want it to be part of my memory. So I'm sharing my screen. This is what the desktop version looks like. Very similar, except up here, we have the regular chat, which is that's just what we were at, right? Here's the Cowork, which is why this desktop thing is important. Because if you see here, I can have it run briefings for me. This is my evening daily brief, my morning one. I have a Sunday one, I have a monthly one. It pulls from all my emails. It pulls from my calendars, tells me what I need to focus on. So in the morning, I pull it up to make sure I answered all my emails. I took care of the priority items and keeps me on point. Very powerful because it does things automatically for you. A lot of stuff. And let me see. So here are some of my scheduled tasks. And I wanted this is what I really wanted to demo and what is critical about Claude Cowork. You can connect apps similar to that, plugins, but here's where the game changer is, the skills. That's how I was able to set up all these different things, all these different audits, all the different research, and you can teach it different things. So what is cool is that it already has a bunch of skills pre-built. So these are some of mine. And to find the customized ones, here are all the different ideas. So you're unsure how to build it. You could create your own, or you can start with any of these. And again, this is a lot. You don't need all of these. And maybe you do, but I would caution against going too fast. Try one, get familiar with it, and then add to it little by little. Lots of pre-built skills that you can use and customize. I mean, look at this one, plan a trip. I want to start playing around with it. So you prioritize my inbox, turn my notes into a document. So let's do this one, basically. Has it populated, it'll create it for me, and then I could use it as I need it. And what's cool is that you can kind of build a custom command. So for example, let's say this one, I want to call it notes. So I can program it. So I put /notes. And every time I put that anywhere within Claude, it'll know what I'm asking it to do because it has that skill built in. Again, super powerful, game changer. For me, the one that's changed my life most is the connection to my calendar, because I have people setting up meetings with my Calendly. I have people texting me, setting up stuff there, and through my DMs. And I would lose visibility on the text and DMs because it was a lot to manage, and also WhatsApp, right? So now when that happens, I screenshot it, sanitizing, of course, so that it doesn't have any names, and I'll just add code words or code initials and tell it, add it to my calendar, send an email to both of us, create the Zoom link or the Google Meet link. And it does all of that agentically for me. Questions on any of that?
Cynthia, that's available with the free plan or only the paid plan?
Only the paid.
The
$20 though,
okay.
$20.
Yeah, well, if you're already paying for OpenAI, another observation I made, because there's several educators in the room right now that teach AI, and sometimes when you're dealing with your clients, you want to show them all the things of Claude and whatnot, and particularly for the clients that I have in government or nonprofit, I always get this: we can't use Claude; it's not whitelisted. I don't know if you've had that experience, but it's not going to hurt that you use this on your own. But I definitely would like to see what people's feedback has been on that. Are you currently in an organization where they said, hey, we can't use that because of A, B, and C? And you're seeing right now all the possibilities of this tool, which honestly, I feel it's like a great selling point because you're able to do so much more productivity wise. I mean, there are organizations literally that are still using Excel and legacy systems when there's tools like this that really just condense your workflow. So just asking a general question, wanted to see what people's feedback is.
So several things, right? A lot of agencies have a number of AI tools but sometimes people don't even realize that they have it in their ecosystem. So for example, in my agency, we have what is called Ask Sage, which is an Army-based LLM platform. And we are very blessed to have all the LLMs available to us, and even Opus. And we can choose. I mean, it's very, very robust. But guess what? Hardly anyone knows it's there. And we've had it for over a year now. So I would say that, right? Research first and point them that way. The only thing is, from a outsider in, we're only allowed to what's vetted within our system. And I deal with that continuously. So for example, before I knew we had, well, actually, I started using Claude before we even had Ask Sage. So I'm not sure if you're aware. For those unaware, I took a detail for my agency and was leading the comms, and it was crazy because I was responsible for a lot of critical documentation, to include some that went up to Congress, right? And creating podcasts for for field operations, creating the script and all of that. So anyhow, that's actually why I started using AI, because I needed someone to be a sounding board and check my stuff. And so even though we couldn't use Ask Sage at that point, how I did it was I would use Claude for non-sensitive work stuff, right? So let's say I had to work on a critical speech or a critical meeting, but the information was open, and what I mean is like open source, that it wasn't classified, it wasn't sensitive, it was public knowledge. I would use Claude in a way that I wouldn't compromise my department, my agency, no names, sanitized, if that makes sense. So what long way to say, there's workarounds, but if as a consultant looking to build in that environment, it's very difficult. And it depends on the agency. Each agency has different policies. A lot of them are still like figuring out what that's going to look like. But a lot of them do have Claude authorization. I mean, most agencies have some level of Claude or Gemini that they can use. The problem is, are the users going to know how to set up some of these stuff? And because some of this is going to connect to outside things, no. So for example, as a workaround, we do have Claude, but we can't get Claude to do automated agentic like work, like what I'm showing here. So as a workaround, we use 365 because we do have access. So it's slow, or it's not truly agentic, it's not truly leveraging AI, but we have set up successful workflows that kind of mimic that automated feel to it. I hope that answered the question.
That's very good. Thank you for sharing that. And by the way, there's a poll that's on the screen right now asking about what's your biggest challenge when using Claude, and the results are very interesting. Choices where the prompts don't get the results I want, or it's the price, subscription costs. Some of us have multiple subscriptions. Or the more common answer, and I was expecting this, I'm not sure when to use Claude versus other tools. So I'm going to take that one and just throw it right back to you, Cynthia. I know you're gonna nail that.
I love that. Yeah, the prompts, ask it, fight with it. Think about it as like a sparring partner. Say, listen, I don't like what you gave me. Help me get better. Tell me, what am I missing? I want you to do X and you're giving me Y. Why are you doing this? And sometimes when it gets it wrong, I'm like, what's wrong with you today? Right? Like you are not getting it, right? And I use it to improve my prompts a lot. That's one of the most regular uses for me. I tell it, this is what I want. How can we improve it? Or I have this prompt. It's not doing what I'd like it to do. Help me identify gaps. How can I make this stronger? And guess what? I then feed it to other LLMs. Copilot, I use it regularly because guess what? It's free because I have Windows and I don't have a token limit on there. So I use it for stuff like that. Help me refine this prompt because again, I want to save my Claude usage for the deep thinking. And that kind of goes into the price and the Claude versus other tools. I reserve my Claude for the agentic stuff, building my apps, and for deep strategy work. Not not basic run of the mill like help me choose, I don't know, my branding colors. Any others can do that, right? And then if it's something like business related, I usually start off somewhere else. Once I'm almost there, like 70% of the way, then I come back to Claude and tell it, here's where I'm at, help me refine it. Again, because I'm playing the token game so I can stay with my $20 account. Because most people have the $100 one because you can go through the credits real fast. So anyhow, not sure when to use Claude versus other tools. I would recommend that. If it's forward facing or going to be scrutinized, I would defer to Claude. If it's deep strategic type thinking, Claude. Research, Claude, especially the writing. The writing is where it excels at. So if you're going to write an article, you want to proofread it, do it elsewhere, and then come back to it and run it against Claude because of the deep thinking and higher academic research and writing capabilities that Claude has built in. The
Cynthia, I have a
price,
question.
yeah,
Just
go
to
ahead.
address, because the screen that you're seeing right now, I've had this happen to me as well too, where you go ahead and enter a prompt and it's working in the background, and I know it's kind of like it's stuck. The only workaround I've been able to figure out till now is just hitting refresh if it's the browser version of Claude. But could that be possibly due to high usage, the volume, or is it maybe going back to the thing with tokens? What are your thoughts?
So this hardly happens to me. And actually why it's syncing is because it's waiting for me, but I haven't moved on because I want to show you guys what I did. So it's asking me, what format do you need the final document in? And it's asking me Word doc, PDF, Markdown, PowerPoint. But I'm telling it none of these, 1 and 3. Right? Or sometimes I say all. Or if I'm really lazy, I'll tell it, you help me decide. So I wanted to demo that. And then I hardly run into outage issues. It has happened occasionally, but I'd say a handful of times. And usually, again, that's why I like to have my on the phone and my desktop. So I usually have them all 3. And sometimes I'll just shut it off because it'll keep the memory within all of them. So it'll pick up. The only thing is Cowork, it's only available on the desktop app. So here, who's the intended audience and purpose? I could tell it internal team, client perspective, and I could tell it, let's do 4 versions, 1 for each. Right? So you don't always have to accept what it gives you because it may not be thinking of something else. Or I could tell it, what do you think is best? Right? Help me refine it. Help me decide and tell me why I should go that route. And so just for this exercise, I'll go with 1. Another thing I want to show with this is I love this feature of Claude that others don't have, how it prompts you like this. So it's fast. And when it's trying to prompt me like in long form questions, I'm like, no, give it to me in survey format. I want to answer with numbers or letters. I don't want to type. Right? So you can push back whatever is giving you always. And I recommend that you regularly push back. And that'll help with the prompts. The more you push back, the better prompting and therefore results you will get. Again, don't hold back and continue to refine and use it to help build to what you want to get to or to whatever goal you're looking to pursue. So I'm going to stop there because I want to really quick show you guys code. This is another reason why the Claude desktop version is cool because you can launch code from here. Before you do this, so this is something I was building yesterday, right? Let's say I'm going to start from scratch. This is what it looks like, Claude code, and it's up here. There's different ways there's 2 ways to get to Claude code. Desktop app or via the terminal, which if you're familiar, and with fear of dating myself, if you were familiar with DOS, that's the terminal. Like that blank screen where you had to type / dots, blah, blah, blah. That's the terminal. You could run Claude code from there. But again, recently Claude launched the code feature within the desktop version, and it's a game changer, right? Because it can now, let's say I can tell it, organize all my LinkedIn images, organize this, or help me build this app, and it'll do it, all of it for me. Like what, remember that earlier on I had done that, I forgot what we were building. Oh, the journal prompt. I would take it and then dump it in here. So I would just go to my web browser, take the file, dump it in here, and it would start building it for me. What's cool about this, and I'm going to stop my share real quick so that I can show you, they built something in your phone that's called dispatch. And the cool thing about phone dispatch is that you can have it do things from your phone. So you can tell it, hey, Claude, do this from your phone or schedule this, and it'll run it for you agentically from your phone. So in other words, your phone can send like commands to your Claude code and it'll run it for you when you have time. The dispatch feature is only available on the phone. And I'm looking for the image, which I can't find, to show you. It's on your phone on the left-hand side. And it's a really cool thing, like I said, because you can have it do things for you agentically or as things come up, right? Like while you're doing something or in between appointments, you could tell it, do this research for me. And it'll start running. And again, takes things off your plate. And I finally found the image. So I'll go ahead and share it real quick. So you guys, just to give you guys an overview, unfortunately, I can't share it because it's on my phone. And it should be coming up in a minute.
And then after this, we're gonna open up the floor for a couple questions, the time that we have left. So
this is what it would look like. And these are different things that you can use the dispatch for. And again, going back to your question, Mike, right? How does this differ from other tools? The only one that compares close is Perplexity with their comment browser and their computer, but it doesn't have the ability to do as many things agentically as Claude, Cowork, and Code, but it's quickly catching up. So I use both nonstop. And I'll be running some things on Perplexity Comment agentically while I'm doing other things in Cowork and or Claude Code. So I'll stop the share, come on screen, join you guys.
So folks, we're gonna open now the floor for questions. You're welcome to put it in the chat, or if you want to come on camera, it's your choice. But ask your questions, don't hold back. This is a great space to share. That's why we created La Mesa. It's the table. Okay, Rick has a question. Ricky.
Hey, thanks, Cynthia and Michael. Great to see you both. And I love La Mesa.
Honored to have
I'm
you
up
here,
at the
Rick.
table, right? So I have been using all the above. Perplexity, I'm paying $200 a month. Claude, I'm doing the same thing. I think the big takeaway for me that unlocked everything is you're treating it so Claude becomes the conductor of a symphony, and then it has control of your agents. So it says, I want to organize all these files. So what I've done is I have a book that's 5,000 documents. And I said, Claude, go in that folder so that it's in a sandboxed area, and then organize everything, and then look at it and give me a business plan for the next 10 months. Tell me how I'm going to write. So it created 7 different documents that allows me to present to Simon & Schuster. It allows me to create videos with prompts already situated. And then I just say, there's the list. Now go do all of them, execute. The advantage I do find with Perplexity is that it has Claude as its conductor, and it has 24 other large language models, including ChatGPT and all the Gemini, etc. So it has Nana Banana, which is my only short side when it comes to Claude, is controlling Nana Banana. So that's why I'm with Perplexity. I use Gemini the same way. But it's because I'm a visual person, that's the only thing I'm finding lacking. But if you're a coder and you want to get stuff done, I mean, it's down to the root level of renaming 5,000 files in under an hour and organizing and structure them into the process in which your story is told, and then doing the research on the internet to find all the. So I'm doing a book that's about this time period in the United States. The Fall of American Empire is what it's called. And it's researching then every single tweet by all the people that happened at the dates and aligning that to the chapter of the 4 years of Donald Trump, basically. So it's doing that while I sit and have lunch. And then I come back and it asks me, what do you want to do next? Oh, make that into a movie.
Or it's
So
amazing, right? And I
it's
use both.
insane.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
yes.
only thing I run into, especially with the video skills on Perplexity, are amazing.
Yeah.
Except I now owe them money because I used too many tokens. And I
That's
was
the
like, I didn't know you
downside.
could do that. I didn't know that I would exhaust them and now owe them. So I'm like 3,900 tokens in the gutter. So I owe
Yeah.
them.
Got
So
scared. I thought you were gonna say $3,900. I was like, oh my gosh.
So it's like
here here's
$50 almost.
here's a huge unlock for maybe even you. Go into Claude and plug it into Chrome. You can plug it into the Chrome that you have Comet in from Perplexity. You can have Comet right, and then in your main window, put Claude, and you can have it write scripts to tell it what to do. And then another window, open up Suno and generate words for the music, and then execute the music and then download it to your Google Drive. So if you create this ecosystem, it's a recursive set of multiple bots. So here's what I do to save the tokens is I keep track of each one. I have a little heads up display that I've created. It says how many tokens do I have left in each one of my tools. So I go and use Perplexity instead of Claude if I'm low in tokens over there. Then I go over
Same.
to
I
Gemini
love it.
I mean, it's like then I got Manus too. So like you could for $20 a month if you plug everything into take control of your browser. I think it's really slow on browsers though because it has to control human interface elements, which it's slow at. If you can find an API though, oh my God, then it's lightning fast. You just let go of it and you're you're in charge of an empire. I mean, I'm writing 27 books right now, 3 plays, and I've created 2 movies in the last month. I mean, it's
Awesome.
sick. Yeah, take a look at my
Congratulations.
YouTube
Yeah, and
channel
that's
and
the
it's all
power of
there.
AI, right? I mean,
It's here.
yeah, and it's not shutting down your voice. It's helping
Yes,
amplify it because you're
absolutely.
using it in a
I've
way.
been Steven
Yes.
Spielberg right now, and I got 3 million bots working for me and a cinematographer who's amazing.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else that'd like to come off mic and share or ask a question?
We have a poll right now also, just for the next episode, which should be taking place in about 2 weeks. So go ahead and give us your feedback, or if you have something else you wanted to share, throw it in the chat. It's totally fine. So the options are, if you want to learn about how to use AI for branding and marketing, all the visual stuff, or how to find a job or change jobs, or how to use AI to run your business, which I think is one of the more popular ones. And just circling back to what Rick was saying, here's my 10 cents I would like to leave for anybody who's exploring using, whether you're a beginner or intermediate or advanced user of AI tools. Start to see your AI tools as parts of an ecosystem. And Rick said it perfectly. I do the same. I fail to use the right words to describe, and he did it perfectly. Ecosystem. I will prompt in Claude and ChatGPT. I will take the prompt and dump it to Adobe Firefly or Kling or Nano Banana. I will make the image. I will refeed the image back to Claude or ChatGPT and then give it instructions to animate the image. And I'm constantly having the AI systems talk to themselves. I'm just here like a director saying, hey, go here, go there. Okay, next person, next actor, if you want to look at it like that. This is what makes you a great practitioner of AI, being able to manipulate these tools to work for you. And the biggest, I think, game changer for me was using an AI powered tool called there's one called Buffer, there's one called Metrical. And if you're doing posts online and you've got like five, Instagram, Facebook, all these different accounts, there's tools and services out there where you post once and it just puts it out there for you in one shot. So continue exploring, asking questions, and coming back to meeting spaces like this, because this is where we build each other.
Marisa has a question. Marisa Gonzalez.
Hello.
Hi, Marisa. Welcome.
And thank you. I appreciate you offering this webinar. It's been amazing. I do have a question. So you were saying earlier about privacy, not putting people's names, all that stuff. But I guess I'm kind of confused. It's like if you're wanting it to, you're wanting it to be honest with you and you're giving it all, all this information, but then you're also like holding back this other stuff. Like you're wanting it to create an app for you, for instance, kind of like what I said. And but at the same time, how do you know that that information isn't being shared or, how do you know it's being protected?
Marissa, I love that you said that. And why? Because it gives me a glimpse into how you're thinking about this. And that is how we need to think about things, safeguarding and not just trusting it blindly. And there are different settings that you can tell it not to. There's also the incognito mode, but also I would say depending on what it is you're building, and that's why where the paid subscription comes into play, because a lot of the non-subscribers have less safeguards for that. Ask me your question again because I want to make sure I answered it. I know you said about thinking about it and safeguarding and building, but I feel like I'm missing a piece. What am I missing?
I mean, it really is just the part that like if you're sharing this information of like creating an app or creating, your brand or whatever. And I guess it's just like you're also trying to protect yourself. And by you said earlier that, you weren't giving it all the information that it needed, but then after you kind of opened up to it more, then it started giving you the information that you're wanting. So I guess it's, that I know you're not going to be able to answer it perfectly, and I don't expect you to. It's just like that happy medium of what how you're sharing so much information, but at the same time, it's not sharing it with other people, but you're also getting the results that you need. Does that hopefully that makes sense?
It does, it does. And I think that's why I'm struggling, right? Because it's a multi-layer thing, right? Part of it is IP and part of it is strategy, right? So for the strategy, I have no reservations. That's where I encourage you to go all in as long as it's not something IP related, like intellectual property or R&D that you want, like your secret sauce, right?
Mm.
But maybe, and that's how you can do a hypothetical or a workaround. You can tell it, this part I don't want to tell you, right? But if it's for a build for an app, you're going to have to tell it. And as Rick mentions in the comment, you can turn off the memory and tell it, I don't want you to train on this data.
Okay. Okay, good to know. Yeah, because I'm currently using ChatGPT and I've been wanting to use Claude for the reasons you said it earlier about, the ethics and everything like that. I've been, I want to make sure I'm using it properly. And so again, thank you for this webinar.
Yeah. And
Question.
I have a guide on this topic specifically. So I'm part of the Department of War, and a lot of what we deal with is different levels of information. So I daily have to be mindful of data and how we're storing it, how we're using it, what we're feeding into where. So I have a really cool guide that I could send your way, and just send me your email. I'll be happy to share it. DM me or something, and I'll get it to you.
Hey, thank you very much. I really, really
Yes,
appreciate it.
yes, appreciate you for coming off mute.
Those
And
are
I
very
know
good
we're at
questions.
time. We're past 4 minutes. I'm happy to stay on to address any questions, but for all those, feel free to drop off. Thank you for participating and for joining us. Hope you found this of value. Please you can find me on LinkedIn or through my website, Lead with Impact.
Amazing.
When is the next session? And that'll be Olga. Not sure if you want to take that one.
That's in 2 weeks. Mike is going to be leading that one. It still be on AI, probably in Spanish. So sorry, my English speakers only. Mike will let us know what is next. But yes, we're very excited for you to be here.
Keep your fingers crossed. I also I know that there's been a growing request for information about AI in the healthcare space, and I did spend several years in healthcare. My wife as well, she's still in it. And one of the things there was a comment in there about healthcare, and it triggered right now using AI for healthcare because it's very tricky. You do have HIPAA. If you're in Florida, you have JCO. You have all the rules and regulations and all that, how it ties right back to reimbursement. And then again, what I think has been happening, I'm not going to say it is happening, but even people in healthcare still using the AI tools outside of the system, possibly to get things done. So we're in a very weird space right now because you have to tread very carefully. And going back to organizational enterprise-wide usage of AI tools, it's super hard to get some of those tools whitelisted, approved for daily use. And I'm very interested to explore that subject. So hopefully we'll have an episode on that soon, regarding how it's impacting healthcare, because it already is.
And think Rick also wants to say something.
Jump on in, Rick.
Hey, every time I'm willing to come here and help you guys out because you guys are doing amazing stuff. This is what we got to do. I mean, just a quick little thing to think about. What we're using at Broward College to anonymize data is to anonymize it by putting it through a filter where it becomes a number. No student ID or information gets anonymized and then reattached back to the data if you're going to do that. But again, check with the policies of your company because that could be problematic as well. But I've had it from a psychiatrist who does high schools. She's had to do that, anonymize the data going in. And when it writes up a review or a paper or feedback that's required by the government, then she anonymized it. And what's happening now is there's now large language models that are on your phone that have just started from Gemma 4 is what they're called if you want to look for more information. They are starting to become so small they fit on your phone and they're being created, specialized. In fact, you could use Claude to make one specifically so on your hard drive, all of your data is only on your hard drive. It never goes to the internet and you can train it on what you're trying to get. That's probably the perfect solution. And that's what large businesses that are doing drug trials and things like that, they create their own in-house, completely air gap system. And that's the future that's coming very quickly.
Thank you.
Sounds
Appreciate
like
you adding those insights. Before we wrap up, I just wanted to ensure that everybody had an opportunity to share their socials, their handles. Please feel free. We're trying to actively build this community and grow it. We can't do it with we can't do that with we need all hands on deck. We encourage you to please join us for our next session and help us promote the work that we're doing. Going back to what Rick mentioned, right? This work is critical and we really need to push this messaging out and help empower our communities by leveraging AI.
definitely. And when you see the post go out, please share with somebody. I'm always of the train of thought that even if the training is not for you directly, there's somebody that you know in your circle that could benefit from learning Claude, AI, branding, whatever it is that the subject is on hand. So with that, we're going to close out for today's session. And of course, if you have any other questions or you're interested in doing contributions or, to be on a show or whatever we're doing, you want to build with us, send us an email. The email is in the chat. It's holalamesa.ia@gmail.com. holalamesa.ia@gmail.com. I'll throw it once more in the chat. And thank you, Olga, for sharing that as well, too. I always forget the dot, so being completely transparent with you. All right, folks, we're at time.
Thank you, everyone. See you soon. Appreciate all the support. Thank you, Connor. Can't believe you're here. I know it's crazy time for you, but thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Hoy me despierto con el sol brillante, la vida es un regalo constante, no hay nada mejor que este instante, agradecido con fe por delante. Hoy yo agradezco cada día, la fe me guía con alegría, soy feliz con esta melodía, agradecido por la vida mía.
All right, folks, have a good one. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Thanks, Mike. If you guys want to actually do something together, let me know. Have you on my show or whatever we can do to promote you guys.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, Rick. We'd appreciate that.
Bye, folks.
Peace and love.